first, why you do what you do?
For the patients, for the women. And people ask that question frequently, and I always have to go back to it. And I find that when I'm in the clinic working with the patients, there's something that happens that you don't understand unless you're part of that. There's an empowerment that happens for the women. You're seeing women through a part of their life that very few people have the privilege of seeing, and it's a time in their life when they take charge.
No, that's one decision that you've made. Another decision is to come forward and speak. When Dr. Tiller was killed, we, searched far and wide for abortion providers who would speak even with their name, their faces obscured. Eventually we found one who would speak, but we couldn't use his name or even say where he was in his state. Here you are on camera. Why?
Well, I've been willing to speak publicly about it since 1992 and 93. When protesters came to my home, they went to my daughter's school, they broke into our house, they blockaded the clinics that I work at. They did things that were absolutely unbelievable to the general public, and it was something that I felt was important. Finally, it's like, what else could they possibly do? What else could they possibly do to us as providers? So I went on 60 Minutes, actually, and did a piece. And just within weeks after the piece aired, Dr. Gunn was murdered in Florida. And so there was my answer. What else could they possibly do? And it was, of course, horrifying. But I've always felt that the more we speak out as providers, the more women speak out as patients, the more anyone talks about abortion and says the word abortion, the more the secret is taken away. And I've written a book, This Common Secret, and start the book out talking about my grandmother and an experience that she had as a very young girl, 16 years old, trying to help a friend of hers end an unintended pregnancy, and the just horrible results of that attempt. And talk about how my grandmother was supportive of me and of me speaking out. And I think about her every day, and I think about the patients every day. It's important. It's critical that all of us talk about this a lot. Many of the clinics, once you get in the door, it's a very safe environment, a very nurturing environment, and women are encouraged to speak, to talk, to open up their hearts, and to really process what their decision is and why they're there, to look at all their options. I mean, there's a fallacy that, women can walk in the door, put down some money, and go and have an abortion instantly, and that's not the case. There's quite a process before they actually have the procedure, and sometimes they're turned away. One of the things that's been such a great support for me as a provider in dealing with those kinds of things, dealing with first the people outside and then with how things go on the inside of the clinic, is a group that I'm part of called the Abortion Care Network. And it's independent providers, which, by the way, independent providers do 80% of the abortions in this country.
You're not working for Planned Parenthood?
No, I work for myself. I have my own clinic, and I'm part of the Abortion Care Network, which is, again, independent providers, which is a great supportive group. And we share things all the time about procedures, about protocols, about counseling. We have webinars and talk with each other and support each other. When we walk in, one of the providers had somebody outside of her clinic days after Dr. Tiller was murdered, and this man walked up to her and said, "How would you like it, a knife or a bullet?" How do you deal with that? And so she's part of the Abortion Care Network, and immediately started talking with the rest of the group on, this is what I've heard and this is what I've done. A number of them have done many media things. The woman we saw earlier today on the opening statement was a woman who's part of the Abortion Care Network.